Welcome everyone to another AZ Ray video. Today we're going to talk about Christy, starring Sydney Sweeney. So, thank you for coming to the channel. I'm your local anthropologist here. Normally, we go and have different cultural dives with different films and movies and shows, anime, or suggestions by subscribers like you. So, thank you. So, today, the way we're going to break things down, we're going to do it a little different today. So the outline for today is first, we're going to get into the movie review and I give you my thoughts on the movie. And then we're going to talk to you about like a little brief history on female boxing. I'm just going to hit some certain highlights and things like that. But if you guys want more information, I'm going to put the resources as we always do in the details below. So yeah, definitely check those out if you guys are more curious. But we're going to touch a little bit about the history of females boxing. Then we're going to get into the spoiler section of the film, give you some of my thoughts regarding that. And then for the last section, I'm going to give you some clips. I was lucky enough to be a part of the TCL Chinese Theatre premiere. So I have some clips from the Q&A, from the question and answers. There might be some spoilers in there, but I'll make sure to kind of give you guys a heads up if there is spoilers in the Q&A. And yeah, that's the way we're going to do it today, guys. All right, rock and roll. Let's get into it, guys. Movie review. This film had like so much potential. It had all the right ingredients, but I ultimately feel like the execution of it was kind of messy. It had some tonal issues and the dialogue and screenplay, it was completely off. It kind of pulled me away for some of the different moments. And I feel like tonally this film had like no idea what it wanted to do or what it wanted to be, and it was kind of lost its sense of identity. I think the last half of the film was some of the strongest parts of the film, and if they would have made a more cohesive story centered around it, it would have made a more stronger product. Ultimately, I landed on like a 6.1 out of 10. I still enjoyed the film. There were some compelling elements to it. Sydney Sweeney definitely stood out. So did Ben Foster, who played her husband, as well as Marriott Weaver, who played Christy Martin's mom, Joyce Salters. Those are some of the highlights of the performance. Some of the other highlights of the film was Chad L. Coleman, who played Don King. He did a great job in his role. But some of the other characters, they were lacking chemistry with Sydney Sweeney. You could tell they were either like rushed, or maybe this was budget issues due to the film. I'm not sure exactly, but some of the chemistry kind of left this film, it left me lacking, you know. And I know right now there's a big trend towards biopics. We have this movie that's coming out. We also had like the Smashing Machine that came out. And then we also have The Fire Inside with Clarissa Shields. It made the place that Clarissa Shields was a part of its own character. It gave body to Flint, Michigan. Chrissy Martin is from Mullins, Virginia, which has a very small population of about like 1,500 people or so, or 1,300. It has a very small population. And there wasn't enough like kind of give into the background so you can have more appreciation to like her background and whatnot. But I still enjoyed the film overall, you know, but like I said, I landed on a 6. It had so much potential, but you know, the pacing, the tonally was all over the place. Some of my favorite scenes in the film were definitely the hospital scene and another scene that I'm going to get into in the spoiler section. So that's going to be it for this section, guys. If you're curious about the film, I think you're still going to enjoy it. You're going to get some value from it. I grade a little bit harder than most people, so my 6 might be like an 8 for you or something like that. But yeah, it was a good film overall. Like or maybe it was okay, but I'm pretty sure you guys will like it. Like if you're curious, you're going to get something from it. But yeah. All right, guys, now for this next section, I just want to like hit some key moments and some key points for like the history of female boxing. And like I said earlier, if you guys are more curious, I'm going to have the sources below as we normally do for all our videos here at AZ Ray Videos. So you can like dive deep, since I won't have time to go into too much detail, but I just want to give you some highlights. First recorded boxing match in history is in 1772. It took place in London, England. And then in 1876, the first legal United States female boxing match took place with Neil Sanders and Rose Harlan, and it took place in New York Hills Theater. And basically what happens from like the 1700s and the 1800s and the 1900s, we do see different moments of female boxing, but they're kind of just done for like exhibition. Like you'll see like little things on TV and stuff. But unfortunately, it was kind of a struggle for female boxing to get a recognition. It was kind of almost done as a sideshow. It wasn't really taken seriously, unfortunately. 1920s, some fitness instructors in Boston started including boxing in their curriculum, which started to increase some of the exposure when it comes to boxing. But unfortunately, a lot of female boxing was illegal in most states, and there was lots of battles for recognition. Although that was still happening, in 1957, Buttrick became like the first world champion in regards to boxing for women. And the first licensed female boxers came in 1975 and 1978. And some of those female boxers included Carolyn Swedson, Kat Davis, Jackie Tonawanda, Lady Tiger, and Pat Pineda. So 1970s, 80s, and 90s are passing. So fights are still happening, but there's a struggle for recognition, getting those fights televised. So the exposure of it's kind of it's a little messy. In 1992, Gail Grandchap was a pioneer and played a massive role in forming an archetype and foundation for female boxing being integrated in the Olympics in 2012. Her court case paved the way, and thanks to her and her sacrifice, female boxing arguably exists today. She had to give up years of her professional career to advocate and to put a complex plan and just funding these complicated rights for female recognition. So this happened in 1992. And this leads us to 1996, which is a pivotal moment in the film and arguably became the catalyst of female boxing starting to get exposure. That was the match between Martin and Golgardi. And this match was at least seen about approximately 30 million homes across the world. It became a catalyst for female boxing, and it's a big emphasis in this film. And this other part of it I wanted to mention here because it wasn't mentioned in the film, and I think it's important. In 1997, Marion Lady Tiger does a hunger strike, and she's part of different protests. She's trying to raise funds for like recognition and tries to put pressure on different funders and people to put more exposure and more attention to female boxing. So her hunger strike and her sacrifice were also important to start creating more exposure and for the whole female movement to gain traction. And then we fast forward to 1999. Layla Ali also played another role that would eventually like play a role and like rise with all these other female boxing stars. You had like Christy Martin, you had Lucia Riker, you had Layla Ali, and you have Anna Wolf, and you have these like big female boxing champions. You also had Holly Holm and stuff. You also had Mia St. John. And so you start seeing this growth of these like female strong pioneers that were trying to get recognition and arguably brought some attention to female boxing in the late 90s, early 2000s. And that takes us to 2012, where female boxing finally gets recognized in the Olympics, and it takes us to where we are today. Because yes, there was female boxing in between that gap between 1999, 2000, and 2012, but it had its jumps and lulls. We have another boom that sparked again because of the 2012 Olympics, and we have champions that were recognized, such as Clarissa Shields, who won a gold medal. We have Marlon Esparza, who got a gold medal. We also have Nicola Adams, that was the first woman to get a gold medal. She represented the UK. And we have Katie Taylor, who represents Ireland, and she got a gold medal as well in the 2012 Olympics. And all these great female pioneers ended up flourishing into what we see today in the modern female boxing era, right? We have some of the aforementioned stars like Clarissa Shields, Katie Taylor, Marlon Esparza, Amanda Serrano. We have Gabrielle Fundora, Michaela Mayer, Alicia Baumgartner, Mizuki Hiruta, Carolyn Dubois, and Sky Nicholson, just to name a few. But yeah, if you guys are curious, if you guys like this film and you want to start watching female boxing, it's a good time to join. There's a lot of female boxing stars that are blooming right now. All right, guys. So now we're going to take you into the spoiler section. So, yep, you've been warned. We're going to get into it. This is the spoiler section of the film, and arguably probably the most pivotal and strongest scene of the entire film. And sorry, guys, that it's spoilers. Not my fault. I didn't make the movie this way. But yeah, so we have the assault, right? All this is centered around coercive control. Coercive control is a very heavy and afflicted issue that unfortunately happens in couples all over the place. The stats are pretty crazy. It's hard to really track, but it's been seen anywhere from like 30 to 40% of couples have dealt with some kind of verbal abuse, physical abuse, some kind of separation, an isolation from family to try to have some kind of control. Coercive control is illegal in the UK, but it's actually not illegal in the US. And it's actually not illegal in a lot of countries. And it's kind of heartbreaking. There's a lot of quiet battles happening at home with abuse. So if you know someone who is abused, please do your part, report it, and try to get the person help as much as you can. And hopefully, if you're a person that's abused, please go through the necessary channels to get the help that you need. And we'll have some of that info in the description section of this video. But yeah, it's a very heavy scene. It's arguably the heart of this whole film. And I wish that they would have centered around this movie more towards this section, because it was the strongest part of the whole movie. If they would have kind of centered maybe more what the thought was going to happen and then go backwards to the highlight, I think it could have had a more cohesive part. But it's although this is a heavy topic, it is important that this film exists, and it's important that this subject gets more exposure. The film was made for that same reason. Christy Martin is an advocate for female abuse and female wrongdoing as well. So yeah, it's a very heavy topic. It's important that we talk about it and there's shed light about it. Yeah, the abuse was arguably some of the strongest part of the film, and if the film overall was more centered around that, I think it would have been an overall stronger product. And it's an important topic, and this film is very important for that same reason. And yeah, the assault that was taken with Christy Martin is heartbreaking. It's miraculous. I'm happy that Christy Martin's still alive. She's an important pioneer that made women's boxing what it is today. And it's crazy that she survived that, and it's a miracle, and it's a message of triumph. And it's crazy that she nearly died, and she was shot and she was assaulted, and the bullet nearly missed her heart, but she's still here with us today. And Sydney Sweeney's performances was amazing, as well as Ben Foster's. You know, he did a really good job in being like villainous and conniving and just this insecure prick, right? And then you see the mom that also like played a role into all like the heavy baggage that like in her own conservative way was trying to be helpful and be a light, but she was blindsided by what was really happening in the abuse. And the other thing too is that the film does a good job, and once again, this is one of the stronger points of it, is that like Christy Martin was this loud, charismatic, smack talking, arrogant person and kind of rude person to other people as like a defense mechanism to protect herself. She was mean to others because she was being abused. And yeah, that's some of the stronger elements of the film. Sydney Sweeney did a great job. Ben Foster did a great job. And so did Merritt Weaver playing the mother. So that's the end of the spoilers section, guys. And so for this last part, what we're going to do is we're going to give you some clips from the TCL Chinese Theatre. And I hope you guys enjoy the clips. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, we're going to show you some clips here and and show you different sections. I'll make sure to give you a heads up if there's a spoiler section.
I'm going to forever be grateful for you, for this film, for the cast, the crew, the entire experience. I gained a different kind of strength that I didn't know I had. I learned a lot about myself from Christy, and I'm beyond proud of it. So, I think that was the second question you asked me?
Yeah, just answered both of them.
Okay, good.
So, listen, seeing this movie sort of released to the world publicly at the Toronto Film Festival, I know it was exciting for people in the audience and for all of you, but there's really one review that matters the most, and that is yours. So when you saw the film publicly for the first time in Toronto, what was that like for you?
The truth?
Yes, the truth.
So the very truth,
I sat down with the wall up because what people maybe don't understand, I watched the movie with you and I see what you see on the screen, but I also remember what caused those things and around those days that you see on the screen. It's hard. But what these people did, number one, as I told you, that they protected me, but they all took it so seriously. It wasn't, I don't feel like it was just a role to them or just a job. I feel like they know this movie's gonna change lives. And it didn't matter if it's about Christy or it's about whomever. The subjects that are discussed, talked about, brought to the forefront, it's gonna help people get out of the situations they're in and move forward. And it's gonna help the ultimate underdog, me. Just keep gaining, and that's what we're gonna do. That's what this group is gonna do together.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
and I read the script, and I got on a call with Dave, and he said, "This is a Trojan horse. This story is a triumphant story about breaking boundaries in sport, identity, addiction, but it's also about it's a little too late." And those signs and symbols were very important to Dave, Mira, Carrie, to mark what happens behind closed doors. So being in service of that, which getting to work with the amazing Sid in honor of Christy, to continue the advocacy of those who are not seen. And we all know someone who has, or close to them, it's happened to you, or it's happened to someone else. It's spoken on.
all right, so, Sydney, I'm used to seeing you give amazing performances. I mean, did you see an actor in it? So this really takes me, and just noticing immediately your physical and emotional transformation throughout the film. How did you transform?
So I had an amazing boxing coach, Matt, and a weight trainer, Grant, and we had about 2.5 months to kind of transform my body. I worked out every single day. I brought them up to my place in Idaho. I turned my grandma's shed into my Rocky gym, and I trained every day. I put on about 35 pounds, and it was probably the most incredible transformation. I've never felt stronger. And it was interesting because you are playing Christy's entire life. So I'm spanning a course of 20 years. So where you meet her is going to be completely different than where we end, and how she moves and how she feels, and the weight of her emotion kind of changes throughout. So it's having to navigate all of that. And then being able to have Christy was a dream. We had her on set all the time, but it was one of those things where I'm getting to meet the Christy now, but how does she become who she is now? And what are the essence and pieces of you that were there when you were 20 or built you to become who you are?
All right, guys. For this section, we're gonna have different discussions from different actors, producers, and the director of the film.
Sometimes I would be back there in the back yelling, throw the left hook, and she would come back and tell me, but Christy, you knew I was going to throw the left hook. You're right, good point. One day we did go to the gym, and it was one of the first days, and I'm like, Sid, you need to twist this a little more, put a little more butt behind that punch, we need a little more power in that left hook. But, it was just fun. It was fun. It was hard to explain how I felt watching her be me, like, sticking her tongue out at opponents, saying nasty things, and I'm like, oh shit, I did do that.
When the time came, Sydney, for you to get in the ring, to actually film your first scene, what was that like for you?
I didn't want it to end.
Oh, really?
I loved it. She loved it. She loved it. You guys, you're missing out on what who you think she really is. She had fun. She's gonna probably want to do more like this.
I was gonna get signed up and go actually fight for Christy. We got Christy Martin Promotions. I have a contract. I carry it with me at all times.
Ben, but you know, the scenes that you two have, you and Sydney have so many intense scenes together. You know, when you're trying to remember your lines and you're thinking about your performance, it's one thing, but when you're on the set and you're filming a scene, what is it about Sydney and Sydney, what was it about Ben, that you two elevated each other in ways that surprised you and yourselves? Ben, let's start.
It's a strange job. And a bit of the language I use is animal, and you've got to sense each other. Yeah. Where's Champ? Is Champ sleeping?
Champ is probably asleep. I can't eat him.
Sid is incredibly intuitive. She does her homework. It was incredible to see her working well past the crew and cast to train for the next fights. But it was, I feel, an immediate shorthand where there was trust to go to complicated and very dangerous places with an operator, which just shows up, does her job, and is present. And there's nothing more you could ask for a dance partner.
Tell me about your perspective on that, Sydney, with Ben as your dance partner.
Well, he listens, and I always find that some of the best moments are when the other actor is listening. And I felt like we could just live in it, and we felt like we trusted each other, we felt safe in all the moments, and we could truly just be and react and listen to each other.
I had seen Sydney in Anyone But You and Immaculate, so I didn't know if I was going to get a violent nun or like a rom-com princess. But like the first day on set, I wasn't even on set. We met in training, and I was like, "Hey, I just don't break my nose, okay? Like that's my one big ask." And she's like, "Oh, you can break mine if you want." And I'm like, "You might be cool. I don't know. I might dig that." But yeah, she was just like kind of a tomboy. I was really surprised. And then yeah, just seeing kind of the spunkiness and everything, and then getting to meet Christy, and I was like, okay, there's a fun, a cool attitude dynamic that they both have. That's not just like it's not just what's in the story, it's what's behind the scenes. It's like there's a persona that's very endearing and you gravitate towards that. So that's what surprised me, I guess. Was that the question?
She wanted to be her.
I don't know. Yeah, she wanted to be it. And that's the other thing. Is like I don't want to hit other people. And I told Christy that, and she's like.
All right, guys. So this is going to be there's going to be some spoilers here. It's up to you if you want to keep watching this part. It talks about like little details or things regarding the film. It's up to you if you want to watch ahead.
So when I was watching film both times, again, Christy, there's so much about what happened outside of the ring that you really kept track for a very, very long time. And both screens, when Jim stabs Christy and shoots her, the audience, yes. Everybody was shocked by that. So, David, the actors are talking about trust between themselves, but it's also a trust level between the actors and the director. So when it came to really filming those kind of heavy scenes, like how were you able to really like capture the horror of it, working with these actors and earning their trust?
It can be a bit tricky. I mean, for reasons that were out of our control, schedules and reasons, we had to shoot the attack in like the first few days of the shoot. And, and when I first worked this out, I was like, oh man, this is so not ideal. But then I think we all started to feel like, you know what, let's get it out of the way. It's going to be looming over us for the whole shoot, and it will also serve to remind us of for the whole rest of the shoot, it will serve to remind us where we're headed, to never lose sight of where this thing heads. It was, Mira and I grappled with this even at script stage. It's like, how are we going to execute this? We know we live in a world, a cinema world of, an excess of representations of violence against women and whatever else. But it's such a fundamentally important part of Christy's story, and the horror of it is so fundamentally important. I mean, I don't want to get heavy here, but for me, it's the kind of the point of the movie. In the United States, more than 20 women a week are murdered by an intimate partner. I mean, that's emergency. That is not normal. I mean, sadly, that statistic kind of replicates itself all over the world. But this is a global emergency, and so the horror of what happened to Christy felt fundamentally important, I think, to all of us. So we just, pulled the sleeves up and, we barely knew each other, but we all knew we had a job to do. So we did.
Just as in the acting department, giving great respect to Dave, and the way he decided to shoot the horrific violence was by giving it to the audience. It was not being explicit, it was holding back, and that was part of his intention from the beginning. It was not just, why do we not shoot? He gives so much of himself to the filmmaking process, and so much respect for violence that affects so many people. And that moment that you're talking about was explicitly important to Dave from the beginning. Was leave it to us to experience in our own way. We have to give great respect to Dave for handling it.
I would love to hear your take on that, Aaron.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for checking out another AZ Ray video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Am I crazy? Do you guys agree with me? Well, too bad. No, I'm just kidding. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment below if there's any suggestions or anything that you want me to talk about in the future. And don't forget to put on those notification bells so you guys can see when I'm doing a video next. This has been your breakdown from A to Z. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys.